What's up, Eagles Nation? What's going on, NFL world? How you doing, division rivals? This is Stephen Hyder with Gate City Sports Channel, the sports channel where the cerebral NFL fan comes for about 10 minutes of daily content. All right, guys, we made it to the midweek. We're at the hump day. For all y'all to actually have to go in and slave yourself at a job and don't just get to go, substitute teach when you'd like and, coach baseball, fall ball and, you know, basically getting yourself set up for spring ball because basically we just ended the season for fall ball. Hey, man, do your thing, guys. Celebrate your hump day. All right, guys. So today I want to talk about something. I want to steer away from the wide receiver conversation for a little bit because I already made 2 videos about that this week. Like maybe I'll come back to it once we get a clearer picture of what's going on with the Eagles. Today I really want to talk about the defense, man, because I I'm kind of I'm concerned with the way Howie likes to try to build rosters. Like every team has a tendency. I've heard some of the national media talk about this recently, where they were talking about the New England Patriots and the way they like to, they basically talked about how even though New England has a perception of being a team that drafts well, not as much. It's not that they don't draft well, but they don't draft as well as people think. What they are good at is identifying talent at the quarterback position, having it trained underneath one of the greatest quarterbacks of all time, arguably the greatest quarterback of all time, and then flipping those back into more picks. Eagles have had their luck of doing things like that as well. We've been pretty good at selling people, oceanfront property out in Arizona when we get a quarterback as well. We're pretty good at doing that. But with that said, Howie Roseman has, especially over the past, I'd say about 3 years or so, has really dove into this compensatory pick status thing. And I'm going to be honest with you. I think at times he tries to be a little too cute with it. Compensatory picks are good, but you better be sure that that fourth or fifth round value you're getting replaces the player that you just let walk out the door. Because I'm going to tell you right now, it is very unlikely we're going to find a guy in the fourth or fifth round, knowing us, that is going to be as productive as LJ Ford is. That was a mistake, in my opinion. Now, if you haven't taken a guess at what player I'm alluding to today, I'm referring to Andrew Sendejo. Quick throw passes. All right, guys. Let me start off by saying I think the Sendejo situation is different from the LJ Fort situation. Now, I will admit to you guys, when I first saw that the Eagles released Andrew Sendejo, I had to give it a minute because my first reaction was, what the hell are we thinking? Look, I looked over the roster and I was like, dude, we only have Jenkins and McLeod. If any of these two guys get hurt without Sendejo, although I was really shaky on Sendejo early in the year, then he started to kind of fall into a rhythm. We could see his impact on the game. I was a little concerned at first. I was like, I don't get this. What, for maybe a fourth or fifth round pick? I mean, yeah, the likelihood of Sendejo at his age being back next year, I get it. But are we not trying to contend or what? But then, before I put a video out there, pissed off about the situation, I gave it time. I slept on it. And I got up this morning. I came in here and I checked out the roster and I tried to reason what the front office was looking at on our roster and why they would have made this move. And then I came away with like an, oh, I get it kind of moment. The Eagles like to play in the nickel. So this is my theory. The Sendejo release was all about compensation pick. I agree with that statement. But I also think it's about trying to get your best football players on the field at the same time. If Cravon LeBlanc is coming back in the next couple of weeks, I understand the move. Theoretically, could you say, like, oh, well, should they have waited? Should they have waited? Well, they couldn't wait until LeBlanc we know he was back. We couldn't wait for that. The reason being is that this was pretty much the last week that we could release Sendejo for the compensatory pick status. All right, so we had to make it now. With that said, when you go into your nickel and you're talking about your best players, what are you talking about? Well, I think at the corners you're talking about Darby on one side, Mills on the other side. In the nickel, I would say you probably have Cravon LeBlanc there. He's a playmaker. So what does that leave you at safety? I think that leaves you Jenkins and McLeod, and on occasions, Avante Maddox as well. Especially if the Eagles start going into outside the nickel and start playing dime. They put a linebacker on the field, whether it be Nigel Bradham, Camus Grugier-Hill, TJ Edwards, Nathan Gary, however they want to say it. I think I think this defense is getting healthy and pieces are starting to fall into place. And while we do lack a lot of talent at certain positions, I think the front office did a really good job of getting individual pieces that fit things. Now, I will tell you this. When you have individual pieces that have individual roles that fit, the harm in such a situation is if a team goes hurry up on you. Because now you're trapped into that. Now they're going to try to take advantage of what that guy's strength is not. You get a Nathan Gary on there as your single linebacker in coverage. And now they're going to probably, they're going to go right at Nathan Gary's weakness, which is stopping the run. Luckily for the Eagles, we're still, even with Nathan Gary, we're pretty damn good at stopping the run. With that said, you see my point here. I'll tell you what I would like to see happen if Cre'Von LeBlanc doesn't come back. This is something that a lot of Eagles fans have been calling for, and this might be a possibility if Cre'Von LeBlanc's not back. You take the same setup I told you about having Darby, right, and Mills as your outside corners. You bounce Avante and Maddox back into the nickel if LeBlanc's not back this year, and you play Jenkins and McLeod with who would be your third safety. I would say Rasul Douglas. I honestly, I think Rasul Douglas has a little Malcolm Jenkins to his game. He's very good in the zone concepts. He'll be where he's supposed to be. He's not the athlete that can keep up with like your Z speedsters, your Z receiver speedsters, those flank speedster guys. But he is very good at being where he's supposed to be. And this kid is not scared to come up on the line of scrimmage and lay down a hit. He's not Ronald Darby. There was one play last week with Chicago on one of the, I don't know if it was a run or if it was a screen, but you could tell Darby wanted no part of that running back. He basically turned into the offensive lineman to avoid the contact of trying to stop the running back from crossing the goal line. But you take a guy like Rasul Douglas, who he does like contact. He'll come up and stick you. He makes sense at safety. So I came out feeling a lot better because I think Sidney Jones Rasul Douglas or Avante Maddox. I think either one of those guys makes a hell of a lot more sense at safety than Sendejo. Sendejo was a thumper, dude. I mean, he definitely set a tone to games. But also he played without discipline at times. Got foolish penalties. Took out our own damn players. I mean, if you can give me a guy that is still physical, maybe not as flashy, maybe doesn't give you the highlight reel hits, but is going to be where he's supposed to be in coverage. He's a lot better in coverage than Sendejo is. And he's probably as good at playing the run as Sendejo. Maybe not quite as physical, but there is physicality to Rasul Douglas's game. I'm okay with that. I mean, I can see where you can make sure you got Jenkins, Maddox, McLeod, Darby, Mills, LeBlanc. You can make sure you have those guys on the field. And I'll tell you what makes this roster happen. The reason you can feel confident in this kind of thing happening, because you got guys like Craig James who can come in and play the nickel if you need them to. I mean, Craig James was a pleasant surprise. I mean, I got to give the Eagles credit. Boy, we sure as hell can't draft the corners, but I'll be damned if we can't find them on the street. we find these guys off the street some damn how. I don't get it. I think that what I'm seeing is that our the pro scouts seem to be on their game. Some of these the scouts department. I think we need. No, don't get me wrong. I think it's way harder to scout college than it is pro, but we need some improvement there. That's what I think is going on, guys. And I think this defense is about to take a turn for the real positive here, because you got to look at what we have coming in, guys. I mean, we're getting back Nigel Bradham. We'll have Camus Grugier-Hill and T.J. Edwards to go along with that. You got Nigel Bradham and Camus Grugier-Hill as your starters, basically. Then you got T.J. Edwards and Nathan Gary as your backups, which to me, that's good backups. I mean, Gary's a good coverage linebacker, and I think T.J. Edwards is kind of blossoming into that Nigel Bradham type role. Then you got special team guys and Duke Riley and Alex Singleton. I'm not too sure those guys will last on the roster. Duke Riley's a very good special teams player, so he might make it on there, but I don't know if we're going to keep carrying 6 linebackers if Cre'Von LeBlanc comes back. And that's a big if, guys. I'm not saying he is. I don't know. That there's some question marks to that. But then you go to the defensive line, guys, and Derek Barnett and Brandon Graham, right, as your starting outside defensive ends, your defensive ends. Then you got Josh Sweat and Jannard Avery coming in as your speed rushers. That ain't bad. You got situations where you can bounce guys like Brandon Graham and Vinny Curry inside to generate a pass rush alongside Fletcher Cox on third down in longs. You got Josh Sweats and Jannard Avery who can come into the football game and definitely apply pressure from the outside. Like, I, the defense is shaping up, guys. I want to be hesitant because I don't think that the pieces we have are talented enough to be like top 5, top 6 defense. I mean, don't get me wrong, it's not what I'm saying. But I can see the blueprint of the defense. I can see where it does have more talent than people think. We're exceptional at stopping the run, but I think we're also going to start becoming exceptional at getting to the pass, getting to the quarterback. I think we're going to start becoming exceptional at that. And then you have, if we can just be mediocre to, respectable in the passing game, this is going to be a tough defense. And make no mistake about this, guys. This defensive alignment is all about Dallas. Look, I'm not scared of New England, to be honest with you. I think it's highly overrated. Look, it's still got Tom Brady. It's still got Bill Belichick. I'm not going to sleep on them. Like, they got, I'd say, a 60-40 chance of beating the Eagles even in Philadelphia. With that said, this is not this, historically great New England football team. And the defense was way overrated, guys. They hadn't played shit. I mean, come on, bro. If you gave the Eagles that schedule, the Eagles would have had a pretty damn good defensive rating, too. I'm not saying they would have achieved what the Patriots achieved, but they damn sure would have been top 12 off of that schedule. You go past that, guys, and the Seahawks are a major concern for me. I think the Seahawks are a way larger challenge than the Patriots are, and then Dallas is that next team. I think we're coming on to the stretch where we're going to be able to make a serious run. I like some of these pieces, guys. I like the prospects of being able to have Malcolm Jenkins, Rodney McLeod, and either Avante Maddox or Rasul Douglas in the secondary, in the nickel, or in the dime. I like the prospects of being able to throw out there Darby and Mills and Maddox as corners, or Darby, Mills, and Cravon LeBlanc as corners, with Craig James backing it up. I like that. I like James. I hope Craig James lasts on this football team. Look, as we bring pieces back like Cravon LeBlanc, we go out and sign these receivers. Like, so far, it's a good sign that he's lasted on the roster so far. But reality is reality. I mean, they should cut Sidney Jones long before they cut Craig James, but we know that's not going to happen. I like the pieces that are lining up, guys. I see positivity coming out of this. All right, guys, you tell me what you think. What do you think about this idea of letting Sendejo go, getting that compensatory pick, and now you can slide either Rasul Douglas or Avante Maddox into the nickel packages, the dime packages as a safety? Now you get, if we get a healthy Cravon LeBlanc back, just imagine what this defense can do. If we don't get Cravon LeBlanc back this year, you can still slide Rasul Douglas into the safety role. Have Avante Maddox play the nickel, and then you got Darby and Mills, and then you got Craig James pretty much backing up all three positions, because I don't know about you guys, but I'm not very enthused about allowing Sidney Jones to come into a game. I mean, I'm not saying that you don't give that kid any reps, but those reps need to be very limited. That kid needs, he's got some major confidence issues. He's got some major technique issues. He's got to learn how to read route trees of the offense. He's got to learn how to read the quarterback's eyes, learn how to play zone D. He's got so much he's got to work through. Look, the physical talent, the physical gifts are there with Sidney Jones. The football IQ is very low on that kid. That's my thoughts, guys. You tell me what you think, man. I'm really liking the way that this, as I'm looking at it now, it makes a lot of sense to me. All right, y'all, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. And oh yeah, EAGLES. Hey, we might have something going on here at defense, guys.